just like Diddy, Epstein didn't do nothing. He didn't do nothing.
It started with a headline that barely lasted a few hours before the internet turned it into something much bigger than it actually was. A clip, a quote, a claim, and suddenly the conversation exploded again. Candace Owens, a name that already sparks debate everywhere she goes, was now being tied to one of the most sensitive and controversial subjects in modern history, the Epstein files. And the way people were talking, you would think everything had just been fully revealed overnight. Names, lists, secrets, exposure. But here's the truth that gets lost in all the noise. Nothing about this story is simple. Nothing about it is fully confirmed. And yet, every time the Epstein case resurfaces in public conversation, it pulls in attention like a magnet.
The DOJ may be releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients? Will that really happen?
It's sitting on my desk right now to review.
We have flight logs, we have information, names that will come out. But there's a general frustration with accountability. We take it halfway, we don't take it home. And I really believe that now with Cash and Pam, there will be accountability.
Okay, so now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take out my little Men in Black tool, and just wipe your memory real quick. Phew, phew. She didn't say any of that. Phew.
Sorry.
The FBI looks at the circumstances surrounding the death of Jeffrey Epstein. According to the report, this systematic review revealed no incriminating client list. So what happened to the Epstein client list that the Attorney General said she had on her desk?
Well, I think if you go back and look at what the Attorney General said in that interview, which was on your network on Fox News.
Got the quote.
Go ahead.
John Roberts said, DOJ may be releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients. Will that really happen? And she said, it's sitting on my desk right now to review.
Yes, she was saying the entirety of all of the paperwork, all of the paper in relation to Jeffrey Epstein's crimes. That's what the Attorney General was referring to, and I'll let her speak for that.
Because it's not just a scandal anymore. It has become a symbol of power, secrecy, and unanswered questions that refuse to disappear. And when Candace Owens steps into that conversation, things shift again. Not because she is revealing verified lists or confirmed documents, but because she speaks in a way that challenges mainstream narratives and pushes people to question what they think they know. That alone is enough to set the internet on fire. But what exactly is being exposed here? And what is just speculation turning into storytelling? To understand why this moment feels so intense, you have to go back. Long before the viral clips, long before the trending hashtags, the Epstein case was already one of the most disturbing and complicated scandals in recent history. Jeffrey Epstein, a financier with powerful connections, was arrested and accused of running a criminal network.
He went out there and claimed there were tens of thousands of hours of tape. There are, by the way, but they are child pornography. The reason the FBI is not releasing them is because those tapes do not include underage people with third parties on Epstein Island. That is not what the tapes are. Okay, I also have sources in the federal government who are covering this stuff and have seen the documents. Okay, those tapes are just child porn. That's all. That's what they are. That's why the FBI is not releasing them. Okay, as far as the Epstein list, what I have been told by my sources is that there is no Epstein list. That basically there's a black book of Jeffrey Epstein contacts. And the vast majority of those contacts are already out there publicly. That's why you know names like Prince Andrew or Alan Dershowitz or some of the names that have been mentioned here. Those contacts, there is no evidence, according to the DOJ and the FBI, and again, that's public. There's no evidence that any of those third parties were having girls trafficked to them. And that is not evidence that was made clear, certainly, to the DOJ or the FBI. Here is Tucker then asserting that it was actually Mossad. Again, without evidence, not a shock. Of course, this is where Tucker was going. This has become the hot speculation on the internet, is without evidence. You say that Mossad was running Jeffrey Epstein. When I say without evidence, I mean without evidence. Naftali Bennett, the former Israeli prime minister, said, quote, "As a former Israeli prime minister, with the Mossad having reported directly to me, I say to you with 100% certainty, the accusation that Jeffrey Epstein somehow worked for Israel or the Mossad running a blackmail ring is categorically and totally false. This accusation is a lie being peddled by prominent online personalities such as Tucker Carlson, pretending they know things they don't." And in fact, I followed up with the former Prime Minister, Naftali Bennett, and what he told me is that Mossad has not been active in the United States or against the United States since the Jonathan Pollard scandal of 1987, when a U.S. Army contractor who's actually working for the Navy revealed classified information to the Israeli government. He was prosecuted by the United States government and ended up in prison.
I didn't watch
for
this whole
almost
clip.
30
This is
years.
hilarious.
And so Israel since then has not spied on the United States with Mossad.
Okay, guys. Well, there you have it. It's just, I don't know how he does it with a straight face. I'm just like, well, anyway, guys, there's millions of emails, but don't even it's like, Mossad hasn't been doing nothing. I know it seems weird because BB's like always here or whatever, and we seem to be doing their bidding everywhere. But the Mossad just like said in the United States, they were like, I'm a chill. And they haven't done a single thing here at all. I know it might look that way. Miriam Madel said she doesn't even know their name. She doesn't know who they are, actually. She's doing her thing and she's giving Trump $200 million, but it ain't got nothing to do with the Mossad. So I just wanted to bring you that stunning report from Ben Shapiro. Thank you for clarifying, Benjamin.
What? 21 cars? What? They could have gave me a car.
Because in a case this large, information does not arrive all at once. It comes in fragments. Court documents are released in parts. Investigations take years. Media reports focus on specific angles, and social media fills in the gaps with speculation, theories, and interpretations that are not always grounded in confirmed fact. So when people hear Epstein files, they often imagine a single, complete list of names being hidden from the public. But in reality, what exists is a massive collection of legal documents, testimonies, and references that have been interpreted in many different ways, not a clean, verified list of celebrities being exposed. Still, the public fascination never faded, because at the heart of it, this story represents something deeper than just one man or one case. It represents the uncomfortable idea that powerful systems can operate in ways that ordinary people never see, and that idea alone keeps the conversation alive year after year. Now enter Candace Owens.
There you have it, you guys. That is transparency. That's transparency. I mean, I don't know what more you want from your government. Do you feel like they're laughing at us? I feel like they're laughing at us. We are definitely in clown world. I'm not a huge Elon Musk fan because I think he plays a role in the coming AI system of controlling global affairs. But he did nail it with this clown meme tweet. I will say that. We will release the Epstein list. We just need more time. The Epstein list is on my desk. There is no Epstein list. Interestingly enough, though, I was contacted by someone, a certain someone. For those of you who enjoyed my Brigitte series, Xavier Poussard has been working quite diligently over the last couple of years, not just on the story of Brigitte Macron and this weird ring that happens in France, but also that investigation brought him to Jeffrey Epstein. Because Jeffrey Epstein, as Ghislaine Maxwell, she was French as well, Mossad, and the investigation of Brigitte brought him to Jeffrey Epstein, and he said to me, Candace, would you want to do a series on Epstein? He asked me this about 2 months ago. And what I heard was, would you like to die? Would you like to die? Because that's kind of what, do you want to play a game sort of a thing? And maybe where our government, with all of their resources, is failing, I don't know, maybe it will be up to us. So what can I say, guys? Stay tuned.
She is not new to controversy. She is not new to viral moments. And she is definitely not new to challenging mainstream narratives. Over the years, she has built a reputation for questioning institutions, media framing, and public figures in ways that often divide opinion sharply. So when her name gets attached to Epstein-related discussions, people pay attention instantly. Not because she is presenting confirmed revelations, but because she often speaks in a way that pushes suspicion into the spotlight. And that's exactly what happened here. A clip circulates, a comment is taken out of context, a discussion gets clipped into short-form video, and suddenly the internet starts saying she is exposing every celebrity mentioned in the Epstein files. But here's where the twist comes in. There is no verified evidence that any public figure has released or confirmed a complete list of celebrities tied to wrongdoing in the Epstein case through her statements. What exists instead is interpretation, people reacting to commentary, combining it with old documents, and amplifying it into something much bigger than what was.
And many of these things that you may have thought were conspiracies, things that I grew up thinking were conspiracies, are so obviously not conspiracies at all. It's getting interesting, but we can put that as another thing that I was right about. Unfortunately, I don't want to be right about these things sometimes, but when it came to Emmanuel Macron, yeah, that's been pretty obvious. Any woman looks at Brigitte and just goes, nah, nope, something not right there. When I said it, it was a conspiracy. Now these Epstein emails are getting released and people are looking up, and by people, I mean the mainstream media. They're willing to accept that maybe I was telling the truth. He's also married to a dude because he's gay, so that makes sense. But I guess we'll wait for the next email dump before the reliably dishonest press is prepared to admit that part too. And then this text chain that is happening, they are discussing Emmanuel Macron's boyfriend. It is Epstein, and I believe in other chats, he's talking with Steve Bannon, and this has, along with some other tidbits, I was shown a photo of Macron's boyfriend. Hypocrisy. There are more emails referencing the fact that Emmanuel Macron is gay. And I think the biggest clue was that he married a dude. But apparently now people are willing to accept that Emmanuel Macron is not a straight Catholic man by any stretch of an imagination. No, in fact, I know his trigger. His trigger is MK Ultra. And his trigger is anybody that discusses his wife, and there's something there, okay? Now that we are kind of graduating into the Epstein files as a society, you can start to separate that all of these facts from fiction and recognize that the media is out there to consistently lie and to protect the elites. They have money, they have power, they do not have the truth on their side.
Because the Epstein case is not just about documents or names, it is about trust. Or more accurately, the lack of it. It is about whether powerful people are truly held accountable. It is about whether justice systems can fully uncover what happened in complex, high-profile cases. And it is about the fear that some answers may never be fully revealed. That fear is what fuels endless speculation. And in that space, every new clip, every new comment, every new reaction becomes part of a larger narrative that feels unfinished. Candace Owens often highlights that sense of incompleteness. She questions why certain cases take so long to fully resolve. She questions why information is released in fragments. And she questions how public perception is shaped by selective media coverage. But even she does not present confirmed lists of every celebrity exposed in Epstein files in the literal sense that viral headlines suggest. That gap between commentary and interpretation is exactly where the internet builds its own version of the story. And once that version spreads, it becomes difficult to control. Because now people are not just reacting to facts, they are reacting to emotions, suspicion, curiosity, frustration, and mistrust. And those emotions are powerful enough to keep a story alive long after the actual updates slow down. What nobody expected was how quickly a complex legal case would turn into a permanent online discussion that resurfaces every time new content appears, no matter how small or indirect. And that brings us to the emotional core of this entire situation. For some people, this story represents hope, the belief that more truth will eventually come out. For others, it represents exhaustion, the feeling that the internet keeps recycling the same names and theories without resolution. And for many, it sits somewhere in between, a constant reminder that reality is often more complicated than headlines suggest. Families of victims, legal investigators, journalists, commentators, and the public all exist within the same space of incomplete information, trying to make sense of something that has unfolded over many years and multiple jurisdictions. And in that environment, certainty becomes rare. Even Candace Owens, despite her strong opinions and confident delivery, ultimately operates in a space of interpretation rather than confirmed disclosure when it comes to specific celebrity involvement claims. That distinction matters more than ever in an era where clips spread faster than context, and headlines often replace full stories. Because once a narrative becomes viral, it stops belonging to its original source. It becomes something the internet reshapes collectively. And that is exactly what is happening here. As the conversation continues to circulate, one thing becomes clear. This is not just about one commentary, one name, or one claim. It is about how modern media ecosystems process controversy. It is about how quickly uncertainty turns into speculation. And it is about how easily complex legal histories get transformed into simplified viral narratives. So when people say Candace Owens is exposing every celebrity in the Epstein files, what they are really reacting to is not a confirmed revelation, but a larger cultural moment, one built on mistrust, curiosity, and the hunger for answers that still feel incomplete. And until those answers come through verified legal channels, court proceedings, and confirmed documentation, everything else remains in that uncertain space between fact and interpretation. That is where this story lives, not in certainty, but in questions that the world still cannot fully let go of. And so, when the noise finally settles and the headlines stop refreshing every few minutes, we're left right where we started, with questions. Not just about Candace Owens, not just about the names that keep circulating online, and not even just about the Epstein case itself, but about something much bigger, how truth moves in the digital world, and how easily it gets shaped, stretched, and reshaped before it ever reaches clarity. Because what we've seen again and again is simple. A clip goes viral, a phrase gets repeated, a claim gets amplified, and suddenly millions of people are trying to piece together a puzzle that may not even have all its pieces on the table yet. Some believe they are witnessing exposure in real time. Others believe it's confusion turning into entertainment. And many are just trying to figure out what is real and what is just noise. But here's the part that often gets forgotten in all of this. Real lives are involved in real stories. Real investigations take time. Real evidence follows a process that doesn't move at the speed of social media. And in the middle of all the opinions, reactions, and theories, there is still a line between what is confirmed and what is assumed. Candace Owens, like many public commentators, exists in that complicated space where influence meets interpretation. People hear what she says
because truth doesn't always arrive in dramatic moments. Sometimes it comes slowly, quietly, through confirmed reports, official findings, and time-tested facts that survive long after the hype fades away. And until that happens, all we can really do is stay aware, stay critical, and stay grounded in what is actually proven, not just what is being repeated. So as you leave this video, don't just carry the headline with you. Carry the questions. Think about how quickly stories can shift once they hit the internet. Think about how easily narratives can grow beyond the evidence that supports them. And most importantly, think about the difference between what is being said and what is actually known. Because in a world full of clips, claims, and constant updates, clarity is rare and patience is powerful. And if you found this breakdown helpful, if you want more deep dives that go beyond the headlines and separate fact from speculation, then make sure you don't leave without showing support. Smash that like button if you appreciate real storytelling that cuts through the noise. And don't forget to subscribe to stay updated on more videos like this, where we break down viral stories, celebrity controversies, and trending topics in a way that actually makes sense. Because the story doesn't end here, and neither do the questions.